Don't be here.
Thanks,
My fault.
Howard.
That's fine.
Good channel for you. We'll use our cell phone for
Great.
that.
We'll get grant. Grant funds.
It's going to be easy to watch. I think we're good.
Let's call the order at 6:32. To pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call starting with Joe.
Joe Iucci.
Nicole McGrath. Second.
Robert Carr. Vinnie Kenedon.
Debbie Sherman.
Mike Kusa, Steve Kozer.
I'd just like to have a moment of silence for 9/11 memorial and all those families, the people who were, who we lost, and for our country, and also for our town, and the people that we've lost in the last month. And just give them some reverence. Thank you. Any amendments to the agenda? Notes? Good. Approval of the 6:25 minutes. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 6/25/24 Board of Ed regular meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? 6:25.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 7/10/24 Board of Ed special meeting minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion.
I'm abstaining, or I wasn't there.
7:21.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the 7/21/24 Board of Ed special meeting minutes.
Second. Who's second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
And I'd like to make a motion to approve the 8/14/24 Board of Ed special meeting retreat minutes.
Is there a second? Second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Same.
Motion carries. Audience of citizens, anybody that'd like to speak? Okay, board correspondence,
Nothing.
update on the opening of school 24-25.
Okay, well, this is a very interesting opening of the school year. We started with, obviously the great catastrophe and the flood here in town. And, as I said, there's been a lot of lives impacted, in this community. And while opening the school, the logistics of buses and getting students in the building, was important. I think what's more important are the lives that have been, shattered and impacted, property damage, homes, either partially destroyed or completely destroyed. We obviously have lives that were lost as well. People without businesses, people without the ability to work. And that hardship is something that I just want to keep in everyone's thoughts and prayers, as some of that recovery is going to take an excessive amount of time for those individuals, and just send them our positive thoughts as they go through that recovery. With that being said, the opening of school was significantly impacted as a result of that. We were unable to, from the get-go, open school because of the roads. 2 days after the flood, I got a call. I called All-Star to get an update on the routes. And their first reaction to me was they spoke to the local police, and the police informed them that it would be weeks before we'd have the ability to open school. The buses were just not allowed to be on the road. So I immediately then called the State Department of Education, and I asked to speak to Commissioner of Education, Charlie Tucker. And I said, this is the problem. We're not gonna be opening school for a while, potentially. We have 180 days to get in. What do you need me to do? What can we do? Within 5 minutes, I got a phone call from the State Department of Education's top attorney, who gave me the answers I knew I was gonna get, which was we need to get 180 school days in until end of June. The State Department would ask us if we run out of days in that way to look at vacation days, holidays, bring staff in on the weekend, bring students on the weekend. max out in every way possible, get 180 days in. There is a waiver process. I've been through this process before in Ridgefield, Danbury, same year, 2018. The State Department rarely ever does, accept a waiver for 180 school days. They want you to max out to the greatest degree possible. So at that time, I knew that we were not able to open school, on the day that we were expecting, in August, so we quickly adjusted our plans. We knew that we were not going to start, so what we did is we actually made the 2 compressed learning days on that week in August into 3 compressed learning days. We opened with a soft convocation. We brought staff in mid-morning. We had a phenomenal guest speaker on growth and opportunities and self-reflection and individual journeys. And it really tied well into the recovery efforts of this town and what a lot of staff members and families have gone through and will be going through. The feedback I got from the staff on convocation was this is the best convocation they've ever had here. They got what the staff needed, all positive feedback across the board, staff members on how convocation went Monday. We spaced out the compressed learning events over from what would have been 2 days and 3 days. And that included bringing an expert in on trauma informed, because we knew that families, kids would be impacted from a social emotional standpoint. And if there are triggers that are impacting your ability to learn, you're not going to learn effectively. So we wanted our staff to really understand what the warning signs are and how to respond to students if they might be struggling. So we did that compressed learning for all staff on that Wednesday morning. We split it between secondary and elementary, and all staff went through that, and they've had intermingle between those 3 days, time to spend in their classrooms. All parents and they had enough time to meet with each other, with teachers, and really prepare. A lot of positive feedback on how those 3 days went. We then shut down in terms of required days, Thursday, Friday, had Labor Day weekend, and Tuesday and Wednesday. And then we worked very closely with the town during that period of time on how we could develop routes to get kids in school. As we had a conversation at the board level in terms of what the legal requirements for transporting students, we knew we needed to put some sort of transportation system in place for students. So we surveyed families. We found out about 75 to 80% of the families would use community stops. Even if it was fewer students taking advantage of buses, we knew we needed to do something. So we worked with the town to develop the routes that we could use. I spent 3 hours driving around that week with Mike and with our director of security, looking at where any community stops could be located across the community that would be geographically worked through. There is 1 or 2 that we thought could work, but I wasn't too pleased with in terms of one was in Seymour and I didn't like the security piece of it. And then one was a park a few minutes down the road that because Eversource didn't work there, the town said it was not a good idea. So we filtered down from a larger set to a little bit less of a less than we originally had wanted to do. We then sent in registration forms to all parents and said, these are the stops. Tell us what your primary choice is, tell us what your second choice is. Rather than have the bus company route students, we asked parents to make that selection, tell me what they wanted, or if they needed to take advantage of district-run childcare before school or after school. Based upon the data that came in, it looked like we had to ramp up childcare just in the afternoons at the elementary school and middle school, at elementary schools and middle school, which we've never had before. So Megan and I met with Sangha, and we discussed the implications of us intermingling our staff with their staff and having kind of a hybrid system in place. So we developed that system, we put that into place. So right now, we opened school with the community stops last week. It went so-so the first day. High school was beautiful. We changed the flow of traffic to try and get traffic in and out of the campus quickly. Buses quickly, and that worked like a charm. Middle school worked pretty much effectively as well. The afternoon at elementary school is the first day, and it was a traffic nightmare. We had in addition to elementary school parents picking up about 17 to 20 minutes at Quaker Farms, they were then stuck in traffic up to half an hour getting from Quaker Farms over to Great Oak. And we had traffic stuck from Governor's Hill up over here to Great Oak about half an hour as well. So traffic was taking forever to get to this campus, this building. And I had buses that were stuck over at Quaker Farms that could not get through Great Oak Road over here. So they were taking forever. So by the time the buses left Great Oak Elementary School, it was almost an hour had gone by since they had been dismissed over at Quaker Farms. So then those buses were significantly late. So you had parents that were sitting in traffic forever and buses that were sitting in traffic forever. So that was Thursday afternoon. So we made some quick adjustments Thursday night on what we could do to tweak the whole system. High school is going to stay the same. Adjusted the flow of traffic to one lane, longer lane, and one entrance and exit at the middle school to make it a little bit more efficient. And we adjusted the method we were going to use at elementary schools to increase the flow of traffic. What we decided to do is we created a loop inside of the middle school property to divert all of the cars off of Great Oak Road and held all the buses at Quaker Farms so that as soon as they were ready to go, they would go as a caravan across Great Oak Road and there'd be fewer cars on the road. So it allowed us to free up the traffic in Great Oak and allowed us to get the buses here quickly. And yesterday and today, the flow of traffic was much better in the afternoons at elementary schools. In fact, it was almost a 15 minutes more efficient yesterday here at Great Oak than it was on Friday, and Friday was more efficient than Thursday. So each day it's gotten better along the way. With that being said, this is not a tenable permanent solution. What we have right now, these community stops, is an interim solution. It's the only solution that we could have to open schools. If we didn't do that, we wouldn't be able to have transportation and we'd have to go remote, which we know is not in the best interest of kids. So where we stand today is, as of right now, the town has not completed a final assessment of all the roads in town to give us a all clear on the roads that we cannot use. We want them to tell us all the roads in town are fine except for this list of roads and bridges. From that email and that certification, the bus company will then be able to go out and test the routes that they have assigned and then make adjustments. So we need, once the town says go, All-Star needs about 24 to 48 hours to test those routes and give us the final ones that we're going to use. Then we need to turn around as a district and provide that information to the parents. We had hoped that the town would have that assessment done yesterday, which is why we thought we would be able to switch this around and get over to rapid transportation come Thursday. As of yesterday morning, as of today, we're still waiting for that final assessment to be done. We're hoping that at some point tomorrow it'll be done. It's going to be a fast turnaround time. We're hoping we're going to be able to pull this off for Monday, but that is still if all things fall into place as they need to. This is completely out of what we can control. The domain that we have is work with All-Star, and the systems and structures we have in place in the school. We're dependent on our collaboration with the town, and the town has been very cooperative and collaborative with us. But it's been a Herculean effort in terms of assessing all the roads and saying all the roads are in good shape for the buses to be down. And then once that's done, as I said, All-Star needs to do their next step. So in the interim, we've had staff members, and I want to thank all of our staff, everybody from custodians to paraprofessionals, to teachers, to administrators. I have had stakeholder groups across the board that are watching kids before school and after school, that are riding buses in the afternoon, wanting to make sure that every bus leaving a school property going to community stop has an adult other than the driver that's making sure the kids are getting where they need to go. So we've got adults going to community stop for security. We've got an army of teachers and paras and administrators outside of school, making sure that the kids are getting into buses the right way, making sure the kids are getting into the cars the right way. So all this effort is a lot of staff and a lot of time. It's very intensive, not to mention the financial implication of us picking up the tab for the Sanka piece before and after school. So when this is all said and done, we're keeping track of the timesheets in a different way than we typically do with everything else. After this is done, we'll be able to financially sit down with the finance committee and say, this is what the cost of opening in this manner was. That was unexpected. And then we'll make some decisions with the finance committee on where those funds are going to come. We're going to pay for the operating fund. And then we'll make some decisions after that where the money could be transferred to cover all these unexpected expenses that we've had to incur now. So that's in a nutshell, kind of from the floods now of what we've been working on. It's basically all I have been working on is this. And I want to thank Dr. Pawlowski, who's been my right-hand person putting a lot of this together, as well as Howard from a financing standpoint. like from facilities and from a transportation standpoint. And our new director of security, Mr. Vigor, has been hand in hand with us on out looking at the routes, looking at security out on the roads, out on the bus loops, out the pickup and drop off, helping to direct traffic on the school properties and helping to make sure that everybody is safe. So this has been a collective effort across the board of all of our staff. It's not just a handful of people. The entire district has really come together to make sure that this has been an opening that could happen. Because if all those pieces didn't fall into place, we probably would still be shut down or looking to go remote learning now. This was the best that we could do to get schools in operation. So I'll kind of pause for that and answer any questions you might have before I go into any other updates that I might have.
I just have something really quickly. I've always told you, since I started here, that I would not want to have your inbox. It seems like, because I'm not seeing a whole lot of audience of citizens here, that it went fairly well, fairly smoothly. You know, as good as it could have been, given the issues that this town has road-wise. Would you agree with that?
I've actually been surprised. I've gotten mostly thank you messages. I've gotten a couple frustrated emails here and there. Some dealt with Friday afternoon when we changed and shut down Jensen Farm Road, or the town shut down Jensen Farm Road on us. That was created a traffic headache that afternoon.
So how did that work on Monday?
It worked better once we got police officers out on the
And
road.
there was a miscommunication between
Correct.
the town and,
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was supposed to be a police officer at, by 6:30, 6:45, and as of 7 o'clock, there was not a police officer on 188.
right,
We had traffic backed up as far as you can see past Jensen Farm Road. As soon as we got a cop there, we're able to. I went there in the afternoon, we had 2 police officers there, and within 10 minutes of dismissal, the last cars were off the school property.
so. I was there on Friday, I witnessed that.
Yeah.
And then I wasn't there yesterday, but I was there today, and it seemed like it was going much better than it was on Friday.
Yeah.
So-
And I think that we have to keep in mind that a lot of students already at high school drive or driven to school, but we saw a tremendous increase of across the board of parents saying, I'm gonna drive by my child now.
Right, so
And that increased the number of cars in all the properties.
2 more things, I did notice Nichols out directing traffic
Yes,
today, but Borowski was like right there. So I was hoping Nichols would move in to start this now. Borowski literally could have just gotten there, I have no idea.
Yeah, at the
I
high
just rolled
school?
up. No,
on here,
right
Okay.
at the middle school.
yeah.
And then, I completely lost my train of thought on the second one. Anyway,
Yeah, I completely lost. Touch on that same topic and then you can go back when you figure it out. The cop was on site. He was in the wrong position. Like we said, it was a miscommunication. Communication failure is going to happen when we're in crisis mode.
It's gonna,
That's why the more communication, I think, would be the better. In terms of the traffic pattern that you said the town changed with Jensen Farm Road. The town changed that based off the opinion of the fire chief and the resident state trooper. Because Jensen Farm Road back, the back way, that gate back there is technically a fire entrance and an emergency access area. They wanted to keep that in play for emergency vehicles at all times, which is why they rerouted back into the high school and stopped using Jensen Farm Road.
does everybody understand what that layout is?
Yep.
Okay.
So that is why that changed per the fire chief and per the resident state trooper, just to clear that up.
I was just curious, the percentage of kids that took the bus option over driving, was it mostly people wanting to drive?
most parents decided to drive. We saw about an 80 to 85% of the student population being driven at this point. Most of the buses have anywhere from 4 to 10 kids. We have a couple of buses that are 25 to 30, that are a little larger lots. But we don't have a significant number of people, using the buses right now.
Can I follow up on that?
Gordon?
What did the survey?
The survey told us that it was gonna be around that number.
Okay.
Yeah, it's what we expected it to be, but we still needed it offered. We got lucky that from every location, we're able to provide one bus, so it's a direct school bus community stop to the school in the morning and then school back to the community stop in the afternoon. So it shortens the run for the kids too.
Did you get a decent response rate from the parents, or did you kind of have to fudge the numbers?
No, at the end of the day, the registration hit around 1,400, 1,450, so we got almost every student that let us know. A lot of high school parents did it because they were driving anyway or didn't need to respond. The problem that we had the first day was we had a flood of parents calling this school, telling us that they were changing their choice. So up to the minute that the school dismissed. And that created, in addition to the traffic, logistic challenge for the school to get the kids on the bus or not on the bus before the buses left here, and that slowed everything down the first afternoon as well.
So I'm glad to hear that parents have been kind up until this point in giving you grace and. I just wonder how much longer that's gonna go. I'm speaking from parents in my neighborhood. I have neighbors who have 3 kids in 3 different schools and they are pulling their hair out and they cannot wait to get neighborhood buses back again. So if there's any way we can expedite that process, especially in the neighborhoods that have not been impacted by the flood. To get those neighborhood buses going again, it's only gonna lighten the traffic patterns here at these schools as well.
And I had hoped and I had put in an email to all parents on Friday that we're targeting this Thursday as our transition. And I thought we'd be able to hit that mark. When I found out yesterday that the town was not gonna have that assessment done yesterday or today. Even if I got it at 9 o'clock today, there's no way we can turn around for Thursday at this point. So we were trying as fast as we can. We are limited based upon what's been assessed. So the bus company will not go on the road unless they are informed that these are the roads you can use, these are the roads you can't use. So we're stuck in a.
I'm
in a
just
waiting period.
concerned that we could get into a situation where the bus is dragging its feet, because under normal circumstances, there's always hiccups in the beginning of the year about. Well, what bus is coming to pick Johnny up? And you said he was coming at 7:30 and it's 7:45 and he's not here yet. And so those things are gonna take time to roll out.
Right.
I'm afraid that even if it's Monday that you're saying we're ready to go, the bus is gonna take another week or so.
The
to
bus-
do that.
The bus company is all on board with us wanting to get going as fast as possible. That's not where the holdup is right now. We've got the routes ready, they're ready to go. They just need an okay from the town that says, these are the roads you can use.
Two things. I did not remember what I was gonna say. But first, maybe Joe could give us, enlighten us on where the town's at, and if you don't know, then I'm sorry, I could just put you on the spot. And number 2, I'm just gonna say this out loud. Joy Uzi has, along with everybody else that Dr. Miller has mentioned, has gotten these kids back to school. He's worked tirelessly, he has lost sleep, he has been at meetings before he could go to sleep after his shift. I would like to personally thank him, and I hope the board would like to thank him too, for how hard he has worked for everything that has been done in the last 14 days.
We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Calling your name before.
So to clarify as much as possible, right? The holdup is right now assessing the roads. That's it. All-Star can't safety check the roads until the town engineers assess the roads. We had another meeting on this past Friday. They've been having a meeting almost once a week since this ordeal occurred. At the Friday meeting, number 1, we changed Jensen Farm Road. We got rid of that based off the fire and the police, not liking that idea of having the emergency exit blocked or being completely unusable for emergency purposes. That was number 1. Number 2 was to get to the next phase of buses, right? To start going away from the community styles back to the local, kind of a hybrid as you would, and then try to get back to some normalcy in a phased out approach like we planned out originally. The problem with that, it takes time. It takes time to assess all the bus routes. I think we have 12, 13, something or other per school. So each of the engineers, which they're limited to their number, I think it's only a handful, have to drive every single route for every single bus to assess every single run. Okay, before All-Star can touch it. All-Star will not go out there before that. After that meeting, I asked Dr. Miller not to put a timeline on this. Because how long this takes and we have no control over it. This is completely up to the engineers, how they address it. We don't tell them how to do their job. Once they get that information to us, then we get it to All-Star. All-Star does their checks, we change the bus routes. I asked for that timeline not to go out because I don't think it's reasonable to give a timeline based on something that we cannot control. Regardless, the timeline went out as Thursday about potential change to the bus routes. That's not gonna happen, like we already said. So I don't wanna say Monday's gonna happen. I'm hopeful that we can make Monday happen, but I would not put that out there yet. I talked to Jim Galligan today, I talked to him yesterday. His guys are working. They're doing the best job they can, and as soon as they get it done, they'll get it to me, and we'll get it to All Star, and All Star so far has been fine and cooperating. So that's really the update, and if anybody has any specific questions, I could try to answer them. Yes, Steve?
So we have a finite list of roads, finite list of footage on those roads or mileage, right? Has anyone done it like, hey, we have X amount of engineers, they're out 8 hours a day, they cover, I mean, someone's gotta be able to forecast.
In terms of what?
Like approximate time to inspect a road driving up and down and check. Let's go over here, like, to me, the routes,
Jim said he needed 2 to 3 days to do all the routes.
okay, cause like
He
routes
started
can be
Monday.
duplicated, right?
He
Either the
started-
road's good, regardless of which bus route it is,
Right,
right? The
but-
road's good or it's not good, fine.
Jim got this request Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay? He said that he would be starting Monday, he needs 2 to 3 days,
Okay,
which is why Thursday was never happening.
But, and I also have to say, like, Jim's got more on his plate than the road. I mean, he's got bridges, there's a lot.
who's Jim
of-
again?
Jim, he's the town, engineer.
Engineer.
Oh.
Him and Brian.
Ryan, I know.
Brian is,
There's
there's 2 of
Yeah.
them.
So we have two and we have contractors involved?
They work together.
Their contractor.
No, I mean, but do we have additional subcontractors
For the town.
under their guidance?
Only the people that work for Jim's company and Brian's.
They're hired by the town. Anybody have any other questions?
I guess one is simple, like, so I, you know, as I drive down some of the roads, some are fixed, and then some that were fixed, I could already see are not so fixed anymore. So, I mean, it's gonna be kind of a, like, if, let's say they open one road and then 2 days later, they're like, oh, there's a sinkhole on that day. Do we go backwards? What do we do?
At that point, I would imagine that we would shut down an individual part of the route, and what we typically would have, if we have a tree down on a route. We tell the parents that if we go here, you're going to go here, so you might go to the end of the block then, so we'd work with Allstate, they would have. Kind of a hybrid solution around that one pocket of the area that it can't get down at that point.
And we're gonna have that anyway, because there's still some areas where you can pick up and
Yeah.
where we can't.
We
So
know
we're
that
gonna have
A bus
anyway.
cannot turn around. So we know that down on 34, there's no way a bus can get down that section right now, even until they open it up completely. Which means we're gonna have at least 1 or 2 community stops that we're gonna have to still use for those families that intend to use the transportation.
Speaking of buses turning around, there was a very long Facebook thread, the bus that picks up at the church on the Rotary.
Yes.
Is there a reason why the bus wasn't actually in the parking lot?
Is that one of the places you were talking about?
Yeah, so the bus company, when we gave them the location, they told us they can't, that they would not be able to put the bus into the parking lot to turn around. So when they told us that, we said, okay, pick the students up in the morning coming this direction. In the afternoon, instead of sitting in the traffic, they know to travel off in high school. We had that created a huge conversation on Facebook, then we had a conversation with them the next day. So this happened that Thursday. And then Thursday afternoon, we spoke to them, we said, okay, can you actually turn around somewhere in that parking lot? They said, yes, we could. So starting after that first day, they now go into the lot, turn around, so they're not sitting going the wrong
So you don't
direction.
come around the Rotary and run into a bus?
Right, yes. Right. And knowing that that was gonna be a complicated area, we decided not to have that as a drop off in the afternoon, that was only to pick up in the morning.
Oh.
Yeah, because the pickup is basically, bus comes, loads and goes. The afternoon, it's a little bit longer to get the kids off the bus.
And it's also preschool, so they're in, they're not.
Yeah. And we had to work with each of these organizations to get permission to use their spaces for buses and cars to go. So there's a lot of logistics with that. So I'm thankful for everybody that helped participate. And it also has been very cooperative in working with us to develop that. And we have our own in-district runs. Simultaneously, we had students that were attending Nottawag, Platt, Emmett, and Sound School. And those schools started before we did. And we were not able to get buses in or out of Oxford, so we actually worked with Seymour. And we arranged for the students going to Platt, Emmett, and Sound to be picked up at the All-Star locations in Seymour. So the parents were driving their children, they were picking them up from Seymour, And we worked with Woodland High School to get the Nottawak students on that bus. They actually created a new bus because they don't have a lot of kids that go to Nottawak Woodland. So they created a bus for both schools to send to Nottawak. Starting on yesterday morning, we were able to move all of that back in-house. So those students are now picked up and dropped off here in Oxford again. Until we go to the neighborhood stops for all of our students. Those are gonna be still using community stops. Their community stops just happen to be at school locations based on the hours that we get the kids out in the morning and afternoon.
Anybody else?
It was a topic I mentioned to you during the Friday meeting. Is now a good time not to make it a high priority, but like while the iron's hot, so to speak, consider getting a stoplight at 188 by the high school? Because I know we have police that are helping. The volume of traffic,
Normally,
it's normally rough and difficult. 188's volume of just cars in general on it is much higher. And that's not gonna change. That traffic flow has been altered, and we could be a year plus before that goes back to the way it used to be. I know, Joe, you indicated that it's not a quick fix. But even if it's a long fix, we're potentially gonna need police there longer than we are gonna wanna pay for police to be there.
we know that on any given normal day, there's a lot of traffic there in the morning and afternoons. Does it make sense for us to do, as the town, the state, to do a traffic study there to see the viability of putting a light there? I think it's worth putting that request in. Whether or not it has any teeth and anybody does anything with it is a different story. We have no control of that. But from a traffic standpoint, I would agree that it does make sense to try and do something there.
Especially with the fact that it's almost like we had a crisis, we have a need, there's a distinct problem that may not be getting better for a very long time. Whether it's football games or dismissal, because arrival is scattered. Some people are arriving at 7, some are arriving at 7:15. It's still rough, but it's scattered. The dismissal, the bell hits, and every human being who needs to get off that lot are all trying to go to this one spot, while cars are doing 70 miles an hour up and down 188. This is just, whether you have police or not, it's a problem I don't see getting better. I don't see 6 months from now this being a truly fixed thing. I mean, they should be looking at Solano Drive as well.
Well, I was gonna say, they're never gonna put a light at Solano, so I doubt they're gonna put one for the high school.
Well, so
I think that was discussed when the high school.
in my travels with my business, and the fact that now I'm temporarily living in Newtown. There are signs on 84 that say, do not travel down 67, go to the next exit, get on 188 and take it all the way down.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then on the other end in Seymour, it's the same thing when you're getting off at 8.
Yeah.
So they're directing traffic down 180.
Yes.
Like, and
Wholehearted.
you cannot physically go down all the way down 67 because of the bridge near Fritz's. So
That's gonna be
Maybe
on
that-
for at least through that this month.
we could be looking at.
So I don't know if they did when the high school was originally put there. For some reason, I'm remembering them doing a traffic study,
I'm sure they did.
but they just never felt it was enough. So
Having been
maybe
on-
our traffic has
That's-
increased.
Our
and we
traffic
can
is
show-
100% increased, and the danger is. They're gonna wait until something horrific happens at that intersection before we do something, but it wouldn't hurt for us to at least. If there's paperwork, direct me in the right direction, I'll fill out our paperwork, because. We wanna at least make our best effort, and if the state rejects us, we can't control that. But we can put in the effort to try to get it submitted.
I'd like to take Mike's idea a little further than that. I'd like to say that we should be reviewing everything that has been done in the last few weeks and to see what we could do down the road to make it better. If something washes out at the bottom of 188 near, what is that, near where Tuttle's business is, at the bottom of the hill, George Tuttle's business. Anyways, if that washes out there with the pond coming across,
Oh, Anthony's pond.
yes. We would be better equipped if we did some type of review. For a future situation. I mean. who knows when 34 is gonna become available for buses over there. You know, maybe we can review something that happened over the last couple of weeks that may help over there. You know, you just don't know, so it would be nice to see some type of committee formed. To see if and review the whole process that happened over the last couple of weeks.
Well, I think a post-analysis would be great once we get.
Get on the other side of it.
Yeah, just-
I agree, get on the other side of it.
I can tell you that our school operations already have done several after reports of our own processes. Even after day one, we sat there saying, what worked, what need to make changes to.
Perfect.
I think that outside of in the moment, when we're all said and done with this, our district again will end up doing a review of everything we've done. But it would behoove the town, once they get through this, for the town collectively, for all the departments to come together and have that same after action report.
I also think we can pull it into transportation and safe schools for facilities.
Sure,
And start the work there and then pull it back as we go along.
And I wonder if we can reach out to George Temple with the connection to the governor, to the, you know, the state. To be able to maybe fast track something on 188. There's the possibility, I mean, the communication's there, we're in a crisis situation. It would be a way to alleviate something. So. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I could bring it up at the meeting. I think the way things are asked probably matters more than the context of it itself. So we just gotta be careful on how that's presented.
So are you guys good to run it through and get up some terminology in our facilities meeting?
I know nothing about installing traffic lights other than it's a state road and it's a state traffic light.
So I know a little bit of something because I was on P and Z. There has to be a study done, it has to be approved. Oftentimes it costs the town money in order to have that done, because there are transportation engineers that have to be put into office, so. Yeah, in the interest of trying to get something done over there, I'd be more than willing, I'm sure Joe would be too, to see if we can get that ball rolling. I can talk to Pat on the chairman of P and Z and see where he falls on that. And then honestly, that's probably where we should start rather than George, because we don't want to, we don't want to skip.
Definitely know what it's.
Yeah, we don't want to go over anybody's
Right.
head. So we should talk to Pat. And see, he's Pat Cotrella, he's the chairman of P and Z. And see what he feels, and then we can go from there. Awesome. I'd be more than willing to talk to Pat about it.
Think about
Anybody else?
I do. Do we have any idea where we are financially right now with everything that we've been doing? Any ballpark numbers or in terms of all the expenses that we didn't think we were going to incur?
So the only expenses that we've accrued so far, they've just literally just came in last week, was the new expenses were like $1,300 for people working in these after the program. So I figured that was how many days last year? 2 days, so it was $1,300 for 2 days, so $700 to $800 a day, round numbers, just figure.
And that's not including the soccer payments either, you have to.
Correct, that's not, yeah, it's not payment.
So we're not looking at a huge bill here.
Not yet, I'm guessing when it's all said and done, it's probably gonna be 20 to 30,000.
So there's also the facility piece of it, the 30,000, did you might tell you about that? The QFS,
Yes,
yeah, mulch and everything, so it's like $30,000 worth of mulch that got wiped out at the playgrounds. So they have to be dug, it has to be all dug out and put back in, so we got to quote for that, $30,000, so.
And repair the
Got
basement.
some really wet bags for my basement.
So 30 grand. give
So,
or
well,
take.
that's.
But that's
for that
also what
building.
applies to
I mean, if you
insurance,
want-
yeah.
I guess it's, if you want a number, it's probably gonna be the $50,000 range, but that 30,000 is also gonna be part of what we're applying for insurance to tell them that we can get that, and see if we can get that money back, but there's $10,000 deductible. Part of the issue is going to be, we are being put in with the town's claims.
Mhm.
So that $10,000 deductible, I have to believe, town takes precedence, and it's gonna be our $10,000 that doesn't get paid, that's gonna meet that deductible, and then anything over 10,000 is what we'll get back.
Is any of this stuff that we could request back from FEMA?
No,
No,
Yeah, because it's all going on the town's bill. for
it's going on the
people, right?
town's bill, everything's going on the town's bill.
So the town will distribute.
The town will distribute whatever they get back from FEMA, but I don't, so one of the things you can't get back, FEMA isn't good for, it's more of like, the way I understand it, it's like structural stuff. It's not like these added expenses, don't count against anything. They don't care about that, especially even if you have a small business, they tell you, go to the Small Business Association.
Yeah.
We don't wanna have anything to do with that.
And even when the money does come back to FEMA, it's go well past.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking?
Yeah, I think town's gonna take precedent over everything, so
Yeah.
they have to figure loss.
I did ask Zach that too.
Yeah.
During one of the conversations we had about transportation, and he said he didn't think that that would be feasible for us to.
And we looked at insurance and we thought originally we'd be eligible for some money, and then they came back and they misread the policy.
Because the policy, yeah, they thought initially it was a $25,000 additional expense, but that's not what this is, the way they read the insurance, the policy is not the way it doesn't count, so we're not gonna get that.
Right, so on top of the logistics and then time intensiveness for the staff to do the work is also significant financial burden every day that we're doing this.
So we're looking at 50 grand right
I'm
now.
thinking that's a ballpark.
Okay, so it's our surplus from last year, essentially.
The money that we put in the
Right.
2% account.
Yes.
Right. Just one other thing, Bobby, do you remember the date of the flood? Is it the 18th? 18th?
How could you forget?
I'm just making sure I have the right date.
Yes,
What was the first day we met with the town in terms of trying to figure out buses and everything like that?
Right.
That Friday.
That week. No, we met twice that week.
Wednesday and Friday?
Wednesday,
19, 20, and 21st.
We met 3 days after the incident.
3 days, okay. That's, I just was looking at timeline, that's all.
Yeah,
Thank you.
because I met with George Temple in his conference room,
Mhm.
and you were there, and
Yeah, that was the one.
Roman was there.
That was the first meeting.
That was the first meeting. And then after
You
that,
couldn't make the Friday meeting and I went. And I've been to 2 since that, so I've been to 3 total.
Are we good on this topic? Anybody have any other questions or concerns? Okay. Revised approval for healthy food certification.
so when we went to submit the minutes to the state, the original minutes, the original motions that we had done back in the spring was not correct.
Back in April, yeah.
So we have to redo the motions for the 2 that are listed inside of the agenda. And they're lengthy, but they have to read into the minutes itself.
Okay, ready?
Can you just say the motion I've outlined in that? Can we do
Maybe you
that?
should just read the whole thing, oh, yeah, to cover your butts.
That's-
Yeah.
Okay. Pursuant to CGS section 10-21 5 F, the Board of Education certifies that all food items offered for sale to students in the schools under its jurisdiction are not exempted from the Connecticut nutrition standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education, will comply with the Connecticut nutrition standards during the period of July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separately from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, culinary programs, and any fundraising activities on school premises sponsored by the school or non-school organizations and groups.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? No? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried.
Okay, the next motion, the Oxford Board of Education will allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutrition standards and beverages not listed in section 10-221 Q of the Connecticut General Statutes, provided that the following conditions are met. 1, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of the regular school day or on the weekend. 2, the sale is at the location of the event. And 3, the food and beverage items are not sold from a vending machine or a school store. An event is an occurrence that involves more than just a regularly scheduled practice, meeting, or extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held and must be the same place as the food and beverage sales.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
That means like concession stands and whatever.
Correct.
Yes.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion carries.
That's the way.
I'll be happy.
Discussion of possible action on the superintendent district goals. Just before we get to doing Dr. Miller's goals, we were going to meet, in our subcommittees and then, come up with our board portion of the goals, but I don't think we've gotten to that point yet. So if you guys don't mind, we'll bump the board goals till October meeting.
Maybe with everything that's that's been going on in the last 2 weeks, maybe we should just table this portion. What do you think?
I-
How do you want to-
Short or long term, we're gonna want to get the goals in for too
I
long.
just don't.
If he's ready.
I just feel like we missed it last time and it kind of didn't give enough time to.
So it's the same document that I shared with you back at our retreat. The only difference is you had to ask me to go back and do academic goals list in there. I went back and we had a conversation with our team. And the principals all asked for time for the teachers and the schools to do their beginning of the year assessments so they could figure out what academic goals are measurable that they could then work towards. So they need time to do that. So I'm asking for the goals to be adopted as they are, and then we'll insert those goals, and we'll give you a revised version with the academic goals inserted once they're ready to do that. And I'll probably be ready for when the schools present their school improvement plans and their goals for the year, which will be the second meeting in October. Obviously, with the delay at the start of the school year, that kind of pushed everything back a little bit too.
Anybody have any questions on the goals as presented? Because these are after we
Yeah,
spoke at the retreat,
right.
so.
The only thing that's changed is at the very top of page 1 is that I put in bold the statement that the academic goals will be inserted.
Any questions? So we're just doing superintendent's goals. And we're just gonna add in the academic goals the first meeting in October.
Right, you didn't wait for me for
First
that.
or second?
Second meeting.
Second,
Yeah.
second meeting in October. I just wanna make sure you know. So we need a motion to approve the superintendent goals.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the superintendent district goals for 2024-2025.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Motion carries. Thank you for that.
Motion to table. The next one, or are we good?
We're good. Yeah, so we'll do the board goals, at one of the October meetings. So that'll give us time for us to meet in our subcommittees and then come back with that subcommittee's version of a goal. Right? Superintendent's report.
I'm gonna begin with, again, a remembrance, for the, lives that were impacted in Georgia, just a few days ago at a high school. Anytime that there's, lives, that are shattered, in another academic, setting here in the country or anywhere in the world, it hits home, that it's like to take a moment of silence for those that were lost. It's also important anytime that a situation like this takes place that we learn lessons from that, even though it wasn't our context. There are elements to what takes place there that can inform our practices to make us safer here in the schools. Obviously, there's immediate what you know right now, and then there's, as time goes on, more information will come out and you'll learn more lessons later on. So right now, as of today, our director of security has already assessed. He's done an initial assessment of all the 4 schools and I have that initial assessment from him and we're having those discussions, what we can do short and long term. But he's now modified some recommendations based on what took place in Georgia. And we're having some initial discussions. I'm not going to publicly share what those are because there's security issues with that. But we are going to be implementing some changes immediately, which will secure us even more than we currently are. Based on those lessons learned from Georgia. And I think it's important that we just take that moment to recognize that anytime something does happen, that we look into our practices and how we can strengthen based on the lessons that are being learned elsewhere in the country. I also like to acknowledge and have just a moment tomorrow is the anniversary of 9/11. And it's obviously a somber time here in the country, and just to take a moment. There's an age appropriateness of how we address 9/11 at the high school level. Heather will be addressing it through morning announcements to all classes. I think around 10 o'clock in the morning through either one of classes or advisory. So she's going to be addressing that at high school level. At the middle school level, 8th grade students will be doing some morning announcement on 9/11. And all students in social studies will be doing a 9/11 themed lesson tomorrow. It's not age appropriate to cover this at the elementary school level, but at the secondary level, it is something that we do include in the conversations with students. I've been including this in my emails to parents this week. Anytime I'm sending emails to parents, I'm also including the board. Thursday is our first meet the teacher night here in district. It came out kind of a surprise to everybody, the fact that we have an early release attached to meet the teacher night. This was not something that we've done in the past here in the district. It is something that the teachers collectively bargained a year ago. And it kind of slipped through the radar as we developed the calendar for this year, that change. The principals did message it out. They were beginning about August, in the middle of August. But then obviously everyone's mind was on the recovery from the flood. And it became in the back burner again. So there are some parents that are a little bit surprised by the fact that we're having an early release on Thursday. Parents that are inconvenienced, we are putting together childcare at the elementary school levels to support those families that need additional support. Since the paraprofessionals will be working, we also have tutors, and so we've got staff here that can support students in the afternoon, and the meet the teacher night starts at 5 o'clock. And again, it was collectively bargained by the teachers that they can take care of their own family logistics in the afternoon and prepare for meet the teacher night. It is something that is done in other school districts. So as the years progress, it'll be something that will be on the calendars in the future and will become part of the routine. Everyone will be used to it existing at that point. Middle school did move their meet the teacher night because it was scheduled earlier. We had to move it because it was interfered with opening schools, so we decided to move the date for that. As far as the HVAC work goes, they're obviously still in the building. They're more in the roof area. If you turn around, you can see behind you in the wall here that the big unit has been pulled out of here. Those big units have been pulled out of all the classrooms in this building at this point, and now they've been pulled out of the spaces here. There's a concerted effort and a actual strategic plan behind the order of how they did things. We wanted all classrooms done first. That meant that these office spaces here were last. So we've been living in a construction zone for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks with them working and drilling and talking over our heads and stuff falling down on our heads. But we wanted the work done for the students first. Air conditioner was in place. Teachers came back and the rooms were well ventilated and right temperature, and the system is silent. We're not up and running in here yet. You just see it here, here and above. Joe, you can see the unit in the ceiling. That's what the classrooms all have. And if you take a look in the hallway, you'll see the hallway units as well. But all the HVAC units got pulled out, the infrastructure of the old system. Tile flooring in the classroom needed to be replaced, and carpeted area needed the carpet to be done. And they had to repaint and fix the baseboard and everything in all their rooms to make it look like they were whole again. But the end effect is these rooms in all the entire building will be full HVAC. It frees up landscape in the room too, and makes it look a lot nicer without those big units sitting back in the room. So visual signs that progress is being made. We need to find out from the town if and when they're going to reschedule the vote for the GOES roof, because that was actually scheduled right after the flood, and that got moved. I don't think there's been a new date for that meeting.
Yeah.
As far as the development of the specs, it's not ready to go to bid yet. We're working with Air Temp and with the facility for the building committee to get the specs out. Knowing that was gonna take a while, we've also been working a secondary plan to get developed plans through another company. For the work, so there's a dual strategy that we can go for both the HVAC units here in this building for the cafeteria and gym and for all of Baker Farms. And then the staffing update, we started school with everybody on board. We didn't have any vacancies to start the year. All of the long-term subs were filled, all of the permanent teachers that were hired before it started school year. So we even had a last minute resignation of the long-term sub today's before school started, we able to fill that quickly. So all spots were filled to open school year. That included part-time drivers for the special ed and the regular vehicles that we have outside that we do our runs for. So from a staffing perspective, we opened on target.
Do you remember the date? The deadline for, I know the grant and all that stuff regarding Quaker?
The work itself needs to be done by December 31st, 2025.
Okay.
And the question is how long the work takes to get done. This building needed to hit the ground with planning in December and actual physical work in January in order to complete it on time. And actually on ahead of schedule right now for this building.
So what would that be cumulatively in months?
If it falls the same target, then probably will need a full 12 months to do the work on Quaker Farms.
Have you asked about the vote happening yet?
Not yet.
What's the price tag on?
The roof,
I don't remember.
390.
Yeah.
3 or 4?
It was 390.
390.
Yeah. So, Mr. Kelly, Mr. Kiley was supposed to be checking on the new date for that. Yeah. So we don't have any date yet.
But we've asked the question.
Yeah, we just don't have an answer.
I've asked the question.
Okay, that's what I was just clarifying. If we've asked the question.
Yeah. And I asked what happened because it's supposed to be done within 30 days
Mhm.
from when the Board of Finance sent it to town meeting. And nobody seems to be able to answer. Does it have to be re-voted on? Does it die? Does it have to go back through with the charter? And there's nothing in the charter that talks about it. So that's why he was looking into it. So,
That's my updates.
anybody else have a question for Dr. Lemon? Joe?
In terms of the security assessments, are we gonna get those?
What I'd like to do is to find a time that we'll do an executive session with Brian, so you can go over the findings with the board and answer your questions. That's going to be publicly done.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect opportunity for that and great timing for us to bring in a director of security when we have a 1,000-year flood and obviously the unfortunate events in Georgia.
Yeah.
So the timing of him being here is good for us, at least.
Yes,
Just a couple other things. The convocation PowerPoint, you said that you'd be able to provide.
I'll
us.
share that out with everybody when, yeah.
And then the other thing that I asked for, I think at the meeting before the one prior, was the organizational chart of lawyer admin. Kind of who does what, where they rank, and kind of the flow chart on that. You said that you'd be able to
Yeah.
provide that.
Dr. Pugliese put that together, so you share that out with everybody. Yeah,
I'm looking for mafia style.
yeah.
Little picture.
Yeah.
The camera's working, we should do
Yeah,
that.
who's the capo?
Where's the camera?
And I apologize for not getting that to the board. My entire focus, everything I've done from the moment I get up to go to sleep has been opening of schools. All of this is.
Audience of citizens. Anybody have a question? Want to say something?
Well, I have a
Karen?
question. So do you have to, because my son does soccer, but they cancel soccer practice, so he's not signed up for the bus. So, because I dropped my high schooler off and there's no room on that bus. So do you have to have like a sign up or like, could I call the school if say soccer practice is canceled? Could he take the bus home or do I? Because
Yes,
that's,
yeah,
okay.
to work, let the school know that he needs to use the bus and they can put him on the bus.
Oh, okay. Okay,
What
good.
school?
Oh, the middle school, the
Yeah.
boys soccer practice was canceled tomorrow, because it
Yeah.
works, because it's 5 o'clock, so I can just run and grab them.
Right, just let Sylvia know and you can CC me and I'll make sure that she gets the message. Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you.
We've got a number of parents that have been letting us know daily, if it's changed, that's
I
fine.
just, give them one more phone call, I just don't wanna,
Yeah,
you know what I mean, but when soccer practice is canceled, that's when it gets a little harried.
we know that this is a time that parents need the most support because the logistics have been so challenging for everybody. So we're been very flexible with everybody that needs additional changes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm rotating between me, my wife and my father-in-law picking up people, and it changes every day.
Well, my neighbor's been great. She's taking care of Marco. He just jumps on that bus. He just jumps on their family bus, but the soccer canceled. So my other one just takes the high school bus, which makes it easy. He used to come right outside my door. The bus goes right by my house and goes right back. And I'm like, oh, there he goes, bye.
We hope soon.
Yeah, so, but no, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's working.
We'll get there. Anybody else, Molly?
A parent who utilizes the childcare, thank you. It makes it so that somehow I'm still picking them up before a bus would even be at my house, so I appreciate just having the extra time. Even, like, my husband has been able to handle the morning. He's like, this is really nice, and I'm like, okay. So he's not frustrated by it, it's, he's like, you know, a little hairy, but nothing that I couldn't breeze through and just practice my patience, so. Kudos, it's been great, thank you, it's deeply appreciated.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Report of the chair, I just wanted to thank everyone for working together, and, you know, there's been a lot. Meetings that are outside of our board meetings, Joe, Bobby, Mike, going to the town meetings. Everybody in the buildings, you guys have all done a great job. It's not gone unnoticed, and I think that we're gonna learn from what happened and how we can make things work and not work. But everybody's working together. You hear a little grumbling, but you don't hear a lot, so I just appreciate everyone's hard work, and it makes it for a better environment for everybody. And we're doing it for the right reasons, to get the kids in school, and that's the most important thing. So I have nothing else, so. Facilities, safe schools, and transportation.
Well, our next facilities meeting will be before our next board meeting, 5:30 p.m. on September 24th. I confirmed with D'Agostino. And we'll hopefully have Brian Biker there as well. I don't have much because we've been just trying to get everyone back to school. But I just wanted to take a moment just to thank some of the people outside of the district that's really been key to getting our kids back into school. So I'd start with the engineers, Jim Galligan, Brian Nesteric and their teams. Public Works, Wayne Watt. So if any of them are listening, we want to thank you because this doesn't work on a silo. The fire department, Scott Pelletier and his staff, his team, his lieutenants, everyone who's assisting and helping. Police Sergeant Roman Gray and his officers. And then it's some of the staff members. It's some, a few people to call out. Director of Security. Brian Viger has been amazing at getting everything planned and coordinating. Our Chief Operating Officer, Mike D'Agostino, and saw him out there directing traffic like a boss. He looked amazing. Whatever it takes, honestly, when I watch the staff, the school administrators, I haven't seen every school dismissal or arrival. But my daughter's at GOES and the principal's right out there. Amy's out there and the staff looks motivated. I drive by Quaker multiple times a day. The staff are motivated. We're asking a lot of them. We're asking for more than what they're contractually obligated to do. And they're meeting us more than halfway. We can't do all this alone, as Deb said. And just a thank you to all the staff, all the central office, everyone is pitching in and, we made it happen. So, and the next time we get a 1,000-year storm, hopefully we don't have to deal with this and we've learned from this and they'll be prepared 1,000 years from now. So.
Operation plan.
Yeah.
We'll know what to do.
And I got to see it in action too, Mike, at the high school with the traffic and everything.
It's a leader guy.
I saw you directing traffic, today was fine, in the morning, everything, even though we didn't have Jensen, it flowed out fairly well. And you've got like about 5 other people around the parking lots directing, teachers, so Stephanie, right, Paul, custodian, like everyone's, to your point, pitching in and making sure things flow. You can feel it firsthand when you're out there.
And I just wanted to mention that the Seymour Oxford Food Bank donated to our after school and before school. So we dropped off, they had bins for each school. So they helped us out as well. So it's a way for the kids to have extra snack. So.
And not to forget, George Temple. You know, he's the head of the police department. He's our first selectman. George and the rest of the selectmen have been supportive. They're coming to all these meetings. They're helping gather all the players so we can, on a Friday meetings, make sure that everyone has a voice and we get the schools open. So
I also would like to thank Dr. Compton, senior superintendent, who graciously opened her parking lots for our athletic teams and so whatever we needed, she's available to support us. So with the partnership with our neighboring town was critical for that too.
Joe, did you have anything to add? You were Bobby?
No, I would say you hit it right on the head. This has been a complete town effort. It's not one person that's gonna get the school back up and running. I said that if we didn't have all these people in play, we would not be bringing kids back until Columbus Day. So, and that's my honest opinion, right? We have this team in place. Howard, you're included in that team. You have a lot of good people working with you now. I think we need to utilize them and we have to let them do their job. And I think they're doing a great job at it, so.
Anybody else for that? You good with that?
I'm good.
I did bring thank you cards if you want to circulate from the board.
One card a meeting.
Come on. Yeah, it's not often I get to see everybody to get them to sign a card for everything. Curriculum, we are meeting on September 30th at 5:30. Policy
We're meeting virtually on Thursday at 5:45.
and finance.
Yeah, so we met at the close of the year pretty much in August, and I didn't make I don't know if we covered anything at the retreat, I couldn't make that.
No,
Okay, so just a few highlights and Howard can jump in more details, but we focused a lot on the operating budget and where we're ending and the amount we're putting in the new fund as well as what was going back to the town. There's a full deck in there, a full update document. So at the end of the day, we ended up getting approximately our 50,000 we committed to as a board, putting in the fund. In addition, about 29 or 30,000 is going back to the town general fund. Now, Howard, this is where we landed is pre-audit.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
So
So
it's gonna be about 26, because that number's come down a little bit.
let's come down. It's always moving until
It's
the final
to
audit.
the audit to the final
Yeah.
audit, but as we were going through and looking at some of the grants that we had over expenditures in it, so we had to bring them back in, it's $2,193.64, so.
But we're pretty tight. I mean, we don't have any expectation of
There's no
surprises.
expectations, no, exactly,
Yeah, okay.
this is some minor stuff, and so it's just, but basically it's about 26,000 going back to the town, the 49.9 is what's in your non-lapsing fund, so. Which could cover these expenses that we're now incurring.
Okay, and that's the major highlight item. We talked about, family where we can't get buses down based on the route. We went back and forth on how to service that family and we decided to lease a vehicle, an all-wheel drive vehicle. So the bus company won't pick them up. And I think based on the information now, Howard says we'll be able to get reimbursed through Medicaid funding. Based on the nature of the students.
And we had a vehicle now.
Yeah,
And it's the white-
it's a white van that's sitting out in the park.
Okay,
Yeah, and it's being used right now by drivers.
Being used, yeah,
so that was great work. By the team, Howard, to source that.
But
We have two drivers now, we've hired the two part-time drivers, one in the morning, one in the afternoon.
That was
I'm assuming that
you're ahead of the curve.
And it's also being used for CEP, to take the students that are in the CEP program to, I think it's the one they're using, that they're using that van to take them to Monroe, because we're working with Monroe now on their program, so it's getting its use.
Yeah. Right away.
Yeah, right away, exactly, so.
Yeah, we touched on some of the grants. I know some of that information has been finalized based on the audit. We also went through a full view of staffing, where we were, who at that point in time in August, who we had hired, what the rates were. I believe we had some upside based on hire for hire. You know, somebody might have left at a higher step, we hired at a lower step. I think we ended up at about 20,000, I think, was it?
Yeah, so it's about 18,000
Yeah.
at the time, but so again, that didn't include, you had all voted on the vote, the 15,000 for the supervisor, stuff like that, so you got to drop that down, so it's
Yeah.
pretty much gonna be a
Break-
net
break even.
Break even. if it's gonna end
So I
up
think that's a good story.
Which is a good story, absolutely, because a lot of times what you can end up happening is you can end up having to, especially when you have, which we did, we had math and science teachers that left, you can end up hiring for a higher rate, and then you have to So we were able to offset some of that stuff too. So-
And within that, we also did hire some experienced people. I mean, the literacy coach was a veteran teacher we brought in, so it was a balance between veteran and newer staff based on the roles they were in.
That's good outcome.
Yeah.
In addition, we covered some of the higher number transfers for the year. As you know, per policy, we have to reallocate the budget. Howard did that, coming into the fiscal year end. We're gonna have to make a motion on that as we always do each month.
Yeah.
What else? I think I missed something here. We went through some central activities funds.
Yeah, contract to be there. Again, that's like, as you stated, the van's gonna be paid for out of there, so it doesn't impact the
Yeah, so it's
operating
net.
budget, so that's because the
Net neutral.
Medicaid funds will pay for it.
Feel like I'm
We
missing
covered
one.
pretty much everything, yeah, student activities. They're good.
We did all, yeah, central activity
did,
and the school activity.
Yeah, activity council we went through. And then in addition, I think, yes, we need a motion, make a motion to approve. The transfers per the fiscal year end reassignments by Howard.
Second,
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
And we're gonna be getting back on the calendar to our opening finance subcommittee meeting.
Liaison reports. I haven't gotten a date for PTO meetings yet. so- No, I think that they're just trying to weather the storm as well, so I will follow up with, I haven't got a date, but I don't have it.
And I know that they're doing some of their typical fundraisers coming up, the Halloween costume, they got a date scheduled for that will go into the school newsletters. They're planning their shred drive
Which is, I think, next week.
and the booster club met last week.
It was held about last week, we have bingo scheduled at the Riverside Fire Department, but we're waiting to see if that's actually gonna happen. The Oxford Strong shirts, but they've sold out over 1,000 shirts. So they'll be presenting, I don't know what the monetary money is yet, but they'll be presenting a check to the fire departments at, I believe, halftime of the first football game. All the proceeds were going to them. And what else? I think that's about it. And are we still gonna do an unveiling or something of the mural?
I know that Lisa wants to do that, I don't think that it was discussed as to when during the meeting itself, yeah.
The other thing we rescheduled was the meet and greet. We were supposed to have a meet and greet of, with Heather and
Right.
Brian and AJ, so we'll have to reschedule that date because it was supposed to happen and we kind of been a little swamped.
Yeah, with all the changes to logistics, drop pickup in the afternoon, it was the wrong time to do it, and
So we'll do it.
on top of that, it was a celebration while the town is still recovering, it, so it's the wrong time to do that.
Do that. Anything else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Abstained? Motion carried. We're adjourned at 7:35.
So when, the next meeting is becoming.
Yes.